Hello and welcome to the video lecture series brought to you by St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. My name is Ravinder. I am an assistant professor with ETCE department and we are discussing the subject called Object Technologies and Programming with Java. And today we are going to start with the looping system, that is while and do while loops. Tomorrow we are going to see the for loops, but today let's start with the while and do while loops. Now, while and do while loops are very standard types of loops. By loops, I mean if you try to do some task via coding again and again and again for a stipulated number of iterations. Iteration means single pass, that is single time you are doing the task. Then instead of writing that particular statement again and again and again for the stipulated number of times, that is iteration, we can apply a particular keywords that start a loop, and then we have to tell or provide the information to the loop, that is how many number of times we want to execute that particular task, and then the compiler will itself take care of all the looping system, and you don't have to write that particular statement so many number of times. Okay, so we are going to see in a while how we are going to achieve that. So let's start with the while loop. Now in this particular lecture, we will learn how to use the while and do while loop in Java with the help of example, and we'll also learn about the working of loop in computer systems. Okay. Now in computer programming, the loops are used to repeat a specific block of code until a certain condition is met. Okay. Now that condition could be, let's say, a test expression which will result in either true or false. On the basis of that, if that expression results in true, then you have to still do that particular task, and if that expression results in false, then the condition says that you have to get out of the loop. That is, the number of times that particular task has to be repeated has been already done, and now we should move on to the next statement after the loop. Okay. For example, imagine if we need to print a sentence 50 times on your screen. Well, we can do it by using the print statement 50 times, that is without using the loops, or we need to print a statement, let's say 1 million times. Then what would be the scenario of writing that particular line 1 million times in your code? Imagine that. Now in these kind of cases, we need to use the loop. Now without loops, we can simply write the print statement one at a time, but that is going to be cumbersome. Let me tell you, if we, like the case we have just discussed, that is if you want to write a particular line 1 million times. I don't think your code is you are going to write that code so long. Okay. Now it is just an example showing the importance of a loop in your computer programmings. Now we have three types of loops in Java, that is your for loop, while loop, and do while loop. Now today we are not going to discuss about your for loops. We are going to see that tomorrow. Today we are going to see the while loops and do while loops. Now the basic syntax of while loop I am going to write here. How to write or initialize a while loop. All we have to do is just write the keyword while. Okay, this W must be small, just a typo in. And inside this we'll have a expression, or the test expression you can say, which will return result in either true or false. Okay, and then inside the curly braces we will have the body, that is body. By body I means or I can say block of code, means the statements that you want to repeat again and again and again until this test expression results in false. Now as far as this test expression is going to be resulted in true, that is boolean true, until then your control will be going to circle around in this loop. That is, first we will head to this statement, the compiler will, or your runtime will encounter this while keyword. It will signify it, or it will now know that you are going to start a while loop. Then it will going to test the condition. If that condition is true, it is going to get inside this curly braces, that is this block of code, and this block of code will be executed. Then after reaching the end of the curly braces, your control is not going to switch to the next line, but back to the first line of the while loop. It is again going to test your expression, and if that expression again results in true, it is again going to do a pass to the block code. By going to do a pass, I means it is going to again execute these block of code, this particular block of code. Okay, and this will uh, this particular process will be repeated again and again and again until this text expression is going to be resulted into false. Okay, when this test expression results in false, in that case your control will directly switch to the next statement after the while loop, that is after this curly brace. Okay, now you have to find a way to modify the test expression after a specific number of passes of the while loop, so that your loop must go on, or your loop must repeat a particular process to a stipulated number of times as much you want. Suppose your while loop, you want your while loop to run until a particular, until, let's say in a real world situation, you want to run your while loop to perform a particular task until let's say until your friend comes in through the door. Okay, so the test expression is your friend inside the house or not. Now you have to make sure that after a few passes of the while loop, your friend must enter through the door, because if it does not, then your while loop will be resulted into an infinite loop. By infinite loop, I mean it is not going to exit this while loop. It is going to run inside this loop again and again and again, because your test expression is never going to be false. So you have to make sure that your text expression must update itself after each pass of your while loop, so that at a particular instance of pass it is going to fail, that is it is going to be its result is going to be converted from true to false. In that case, your runtime will know that okay, the test expression has been failed now, that means it has been resulted into false. Now we have to move away or terminate this while loop and get ahead to the next statement to be executed. So this is what I am trying to say. Now the drawback is, if the text expression fails at the very first time, then in that case your block of code will not be executed for the very first time also. Okay, so suppose your text expression is equal to false before even getting into the while loop. In that case, the runtime will never go inside the while loop to execute these statements. It will directly the control will switch from this curly brace to the end, that is to the next statement, and these block of codes will never be executed. And that is where your do while comes into the picture. So the do while is something like, so it will work something like, okay, pardon me please, it will do something like do and then a particular task, that is let's say block of code, and after that we'll write the keyword while, and inside the brace curly brackets, sorry, brackets only, we are going to write, oh sorry, what I'm writing is, we're going to write the text expression, and that is it. Now in this case, at least one time your block of code is going to be executed, and after that your text expression is going to be tested. Okay, in this case, test expression is executed or tested before even entering the block of code, before even entering this block. In this case, that is in do while loop, the block of code is executed exactly one time before even testing the expression. Now if this test expression fails for the very first time, then it doesn't matter. The block of code that has been written here has already been executed for at least one time. So you have to decide that the task you want to do, if you want to perform your task for at least one time, then you must use your do while loop, and if that is not a necessity, then you can go for your basic or conventional while loop. Okay, so now let's head back to the IDE and we'll see an example how to implement a while loop. Okay, so I'm going to initiate a variable. Let's say a is equal to, let's say, 10, and let's initiate a while loop. All we have to do is print a particular statement 10 times. Okay, so what I am going to do is until and unless a is greater than 10. Okay, then in that case system dot print dot out, oh sorry, system dot out dot print ln, and we'll write we are inside the while loop. Okay, and that is it. Okay, now at this particular time, if we left our while loop right here right now, you will see that the writing of this particular string, that is we are inside, will never stop because the value of a is actually 10. Let me do this. Yeah, now it is okay. Now the value of a is equal to 10, and the testing condition is the a is greater than 0 or not. Now value of a is not going to increment or decrement by itself if we don't do that. In that case, if we try to run this particular while loop like this in this particular condition, then this particular string is never going to be stopped writing to the console. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. I'm going to run this particular example and you will see. As you can see, it is not going to stop because the value of a is never going to be decremented or incremented. So this condition is going to be true at every pace. Okay, so I'm going to stop it now. There it is. Now the value of, in this case, this condition is always going to be true because the value of 10 is a is 10 and it is not going to be changed. Now that is what I am trying to say a few minutes ago, that we have to make sure that our test condition must update itself so that at a particular event your test expression must change from true to false, so that your while loop must stop or must terminate at the point that you have wanted. So what I am trying to do here is I will write, so it is going to decrement every time while loop is going to make a pass, the value of a is going to be decremented by 1. Okay, now let's again try to run this and let's see this time what has happened. So it has run 10 times exactly. So every time the statement that we have written there, and that is the block, it has been executed, the value of a has been decremented by 1. Okay, and there will be a point when the value of a will be equal to 0, and in that case this condition will fail, that is this test expression will fail, and at that point of time your while loop will be terminated, and after that your control will be switched after to the next statement that has been written after the while loop. Okay, now let me show you why do we need while loop. If the value of a is already equal to 0, what will happen then? Let me also write a statement here so that you must see something inside the console, and let me write out of the loop. Okay, so let us see when the value of a is already 10, then you know that this particular expression is going to fail, that is, it is going to result in false, and in that case not even a single pass of while loop will be executed. So let's try to see why do we need while loop. Okay, exactly what we have wanted. The statement that has been printed out here is out of the loop. The string that has been printed out here is out of the loop, and not even a single pass of this block has been made because your condition has failed initially. in these kind of cases, what we can do is, if we want our statement to be executed at least once, so what we can do is we'll cut this here, this particular line here, oh sorry, and I will try to do something like this, and I will add do keyword here. Okay, so let us see what will happen this time, and I will try to run this. Okay, so as you can see, for just one time we are inside the loop. We have executed the block of statements that are written inside the block of code of the do while loop. Then we have checked the text expression that either the value of a is greater than 0 or not. We have found that the value of a is already equal to 0, or it has already been less than 0, that is equal to -1, because we have not omitted this particular line here. Now it is -1, it means this test expression has failed, so need not to go again inside to do another pass of this while loop. We just the control will switch to the next statement after the while loop, after the do while loop. Okay, so if you want your loop to make exactly one pass, then you must use do while loop, and if not, you can use your conventional while loop. So I'm going to end this lecture now. Tomorrow we're going to see the for loops. Thank you.